I don't know if they'll want to have their faces shown, to be honest with you. You know, they're incredible for the country. They're not looking for public relations, but they love doing what they're doing. I've seen it. First Lady was out there recently looking at what they do. She came back, she said, wow, I've never seen anything like that. The training, you know, all of the training and the power of the people, the men and women, the strength, the physical strength, the mental strength. These are incredible people. These are very unique individuals.
to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.
All right. Welcome to the Patriot Hour. We got Scott in studio. What is up, brother?
Good to be back. Rare appearance.
In the area today, able to pop off a show, so we are here. Got a lot to talk about. Just some Friday news stuff.
Yeah.
What are you?
Open mic Friday?
Yeah, open mic. Let's say hi to the Patriots here in the room. What is going on? We got about 100 in the room. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon. I don't know where you're coming from or where you're at, but
Semper Fi.
thank you. Yeah, California Patriot here. Oh, California. Hope the fires are treating you.
California faces 72 hours of hell as Devils wins. Get a little more intense. I wonder if this is the revelation happening for at least the state of California anyway.
Somebody here in the chat room. Australia checking in. Australia. So they moved forward with impeachment. What are we seeing on that? The House passed it.
The inquiry, right? The impeachment inquiry. They're going to
think
it passed to move forward with at least the investigation that could potentially lead to an impeachment.
And they were before that, as Trump kept referring to, running this out of the basement of the White House in a rogue old security room. So it was kind of like, I was making jokes on Friday. Did they want their moms to bring them down some Hot Pockets and stuff?
Which I found actually pretty entertaining and kind of disgusting. They were holding all these meetings without any Republicans, any other committees, nobody else present. Which, and then when they were stormed by the Republicans, the media spun it as, oh, this is just childish grade school tactics done by the Republicans. What's so childish about making sure that there is transparency and the American people get to see both sides? Because up to then, CNBC and NBC and CNN, all of them, were only telling the side of the story of the Pelosi's and the Reids and, It's like, so when the Republicans stormed that bill, and they made it sound like they just brought the Delta
Storm
Squad.
the beaches at Normandy.
Yeah. All they did was come in and sit down, which is their right. They should
wanted
be
to,
there.
They wanted to be involved in the process, that's all.
And what happened? They ended the meeting. We're not moving any further. Well, what do you got to hide? I don't understand. I'm certain that the American people are watching this process and just throwing up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. There's no way you could not look at what is going on and say, of course, it's a biased situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, my 6-year-old can look at this and say, well, why is one side, doing it this way, and then the other side's not welcome? And it's not hard to see that this is just another big
witch hunt.
Witch hunt, I guess. I mean, they spent 2.5, 3 years with the first one. Now they're going to do this one.
I agree with the whole, so even with Nixon, I sat here one night and watched, this was a couple weeks ago, a thing on Nixon, actual CNN was running it, and it was just to show us, look at what this guy did. But very similar, even though they took it to the vote in Congress, and it was like a 401 to 2 in favor of no. Mm-hmm. So that means overwhelming support to get, to impeach, to start the process for Nixon.
Right.
Now we know he resigned; it never happened.
Right.
But even with Clinton,
and then pardoned.
Yeah.
Then pardoned.
Yes. Clinton, his was took to the vote. So we've always done this process.
And then he was pardoned.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people, well, he was impeached for getting, no, it wasn't. It was for lying, and it had nothing to do with Monica Lewinsky. It had to do with Paula Jones
lying under oath when he was being.
Yeah, and then I think the Lewinsky thing came out in the middle of this whole stuff that he was getting called up for, and they ended up bringing it up to him. And then he was on the fly, wasn't prepared for that, so he lied. No, I don't know nothing about her. then the blue dress came out. So
Somebody just said hang Congress. I would say just vote them all out. I mean, on all sides, independents, Republicans, Democrats. Something drastic is going to happen. The American people have to be looking at this and thinking, "Oh my gosh, what a waste! He will win again." And I guess the only way he won't win again is if either A, he's killed, which God forbid that ever happen, or B, he has just set up that nasty. I mean, something really bad would have to happen for him not to win. So we know that when he does win, we're going to have 3 or 4 years of more investigation. Instead of Congress actually doing their damn jobs, they are going to spend all this time doing investigation work. What's their platform?
Nothing.
Again, I think I asked this last time I was in studio. Is there anybody out there that can tell me what a Democrat is actually going to debate when they go against Trump in the campaign? Well, we're going to make the economy better. Oh, never mind. We're going to give more jobs. Oh, never mind. We want infrastructure. That's what we want. And then he's going to be able to show where he's been trying to get infrastructure legislation passed, and they're sitting on their hands while they're doing all this investigation work.
yeah, I would say they have to pitch that they're going. They're doing these. They want to reverse everything he's doing.
Yeah.
So we'd have to reverse everything that.
And wwho wants to go along with that? Idiots will. My dad always said that, when it comes down to walking into that toll booth, I was on the toll road, sorry, poll booth, you might say going up to that election that, I'm going to vote for this person or that person or whatever, because it's easy to talk to your friends or other people about openly. But once you get in that toll or poll booth, you're probably going to vote with your wallet. How is my life going? How is my bank account? How is my job? Good, better, best.
Most people vote, right?
Why do I want change? Nobody wants change when things are good. The only people that want change are those that are freeloading, not doing anything productive with their life, because those of us that are actually productive citizens are happier now than what we were 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Things are looking up and getting better every day. Business for me is booming, and booming. It's great. We're doing well. So I ultimately think a large number of people, and maybe this is why the media was wrong with all the polls that they took during the last election. I don't think they either A, got the right truth from the people when they asked the question, well, who are you going to vote for? I think a large majority of people said they were going to vote for Hillary, got in that poll booth and went, man, a couple of questions I have to ask myself. Do we want more Clintons in the White House? Do we want Hillary in the White House? Is that what we want? And I think that they were, I was pleasantly surprised.
All right, no, we got about 170 in the room. We're just getting started here. Scott's talking a little bit for those of you just joining in. We're talking about the kind of unfair impeachment process and just, what I find interesting, Scott, was during this raid. Okay, so what I think we're going to find out here, and again, all my evidence and everything, people here at the channel we've been following along with, it kind of points to...
Which raid are we speaking of, Mike?
What's that?
The al-Baghdadi? You said the word
raid.
raid.
I used the word raid. The raid that just happened. We're going to find out, like right now, things don't sound right as they come out. Like everyone's like, why did Trump have his own personal lawyer messing around over in the Ukraine? Well, what we're going to find out, and things I've been reading, drops, there are driplets and stuff around the internet, folks, but it was a sting operation that Trump was involved in. Not much different than the art of the, not the art of the deal, but the art of the informant. Remember me telling you that story? We went over it probably about a year ago here, and I did about an 8-minute video on it. But the art of the informant, where Trump went to go buy his casino down in Atlantic City, and he knew the mob was down there in the late 70s, so he went to the FBI on his own and told them of this plan. I might buy some land, and if I do, I'm going to build a casino on it. And if I build a casino on it, I want you guys in on it. Yeah. I want you to bring in cooks and pit bosses, and then I'm going to let the mob in because they're going to be right at my back door. And hey, so I'm going to let both of you in.
Shaking me down.
Yeah, I'm going to let both of you in, and you guys can do your thing.
Yeah.
And then when it all the smoke cleared, which it did about 85 or 86, they said the mob was totally cleaned up. The FBI claimed their hands, shook Trump's hand, probably gave him a award. Yeah. And he got to keep his business, make money the whole time.
Back when they loved him.
Yeah. So that was the art of the informant. Now, this time, Giuliani's used the words in certain interviews. He's been in so many different interviews getting it out there. It's like he got the go-ahead. Somebody gave him the green light. Trump team, whatever. Do your thing. You're up. And he's going around. This was he used the word sting or operation. So, and he said, I got an award from the State Department last week. So Giuliani's got this award from the State Department hanging up. It says, thanks for a job well done.
Civil good duties on behalf of your government.
You know, and it's like, well, why would they use this person? Well, or the bad people that would know that Trump should typically get this piece of paper, not Trump, but the Trump team, and then turn it over to these people at the head of the FBI. And that's what they're bitching about, that process being avoided. Well, we knew that the head of the FBI guy is now fired.
Right.
The head of the DOJ is now fired, Rod Rosenstein. I mean, we've gotten 40-some people out. And if you know the heads
They
of
hung
these,
themselves.
and how do you turn in, everyone's like, well, Trump got in day one, he should have went and arrested Hillary. Well, we know Trump doesn't arrest, so he'd have to order the FBI. That FBI to be telling, go arrest Hillary.
Right.
Well, why, Mr. Trump? Even that kind of is wrong to go do it that way. But if they play it along, they can be like, well, why? For her email stuff. And you're like, we already cleared her.
Right.
So there was no getting that to happen then. So anyway, fast forward to all this, what's going on. They're getting this investigation done. They did work sanctioned, I think, with the DOJ, FBI. It was just a hidden operation.
They now have players in the DOJ and the Justice Department, all that,
and they might have had to
that
get
are willing to help instead of willing to cover up. So
Yes.
they have the right players. And then you said that a long time ago. You can't just go whacking it's not whack-a-mole. You have to get out the old and
process.
get in the new. And then that way, at least when you find them guilty or you at least get enough evidence to try them, at least now you have the right judges and state and federal prosecutors that are willing to go after the Hillarys and whatever else is. Because this is what they all avoided for so long, because they had all their friends. This is what he meant by drain the swamp.
Yes.
They had all their friends in the right positions to keep themselves from ever, being prosecuted, and if prosecuted, ever really accused. Yeah,
they can make it look like it's bad, but then nothing really happens. And he kind of got scolded publicly.
All my friends are the ones that investigated me, and they found nothing wrong. So let's move on. Well,
in 2017, a lady FISA, one of the judges out of the FISA, she came out and said she had found 80% of the wiretapping that the Obama administration was doing, because this was right in 2017. She came out and said that they did a review, and 85% of all the tapping in to look at civilians was illegally done. The other judge found 3 of the 4 FISA requests on Trump or the people around him to be 3 so far.
Fraudulent.
They're looking at the very first one, because we know Comey, when he went there, he hid the fact that it was made by Clinton. He hid the fact that it was because anytime the FBI gets a dossier or paperwork turned in, they have to send out 2 credible FBI agents to interview him.
Right.
Both of those paperworks came back. Both of the agents they sent out, they said, this guy's got high bias. He wants to see Trump go down. They didn't look good. So what did Comey do with those? He threw them in a drawer, marked them classified till 2090.
Yeah.
2090.
Well, Trump can open them up.
Well, no, he already got him, because that Horowitz, when he came, they hid it from him the first time. And then he came back and was like, there's something not right here. The 2 agents that you sent out, wouldn't you have had to verify the dossier? Oh, yeah, we did. Where's that paperwork? Well, that's been classified. Well, why? They're just memorandums of the meeting.
Because we all left up.
So think about that. There's a lot of stuff that, and I don't know, it's just, they had to do this a roundabout way. It seems odd to people because process wasn't followed, but there's a reason process isn't being followed right now.
Right.
There's a coup.
Which is amazing, because you and I were just talking in the garage, the Pelosi's and what's her name, Walker?
Yeah.
And then you had Feinstein, you had Reed, and then the jerk that's on top of the committee right now, Schiff. Trump cannot be going after Biden in such a fact. This is against his rival. This is campaign fraud. Blah blah blah. Wait a minute. We just experienced, and you all admitted, and it's fact, and it's been in the news, and everybody knows it happened, that Obama and his administration allowed the wiretapping, allowed all this fraudulent crap to go on when Trump was running.
spied on U.S. citizens.
But then when Trump supposedly does it, it's illegal, and we're going to bring you up on impeachment trial. But don't worry about what Biden or Hillary or
And we know that it really happened already.
Right.
They're just telling us it happened here, and every time we look, it's like, it doesn't really seem to have happened. Or
right. Look the other way. Trump's doing it, and we're talking about Trump because he's actual president. Well, wait a minute. He wasn't. He was running for president, and you wiretapped him and got him or did the fake dossier. You know, and that's what Biden was saying. Well, I'm not even president. So what I said about, fire the guy or we're not going to give you the $1 billion, I wasn't running for president. No, you son of a bitch, you were vice president.
Yeah, you were already.
In my opinion, that's worse.
You were in charge of that area, so you would have been almost like a president there because Obama put you in charge of that area.
But I wasn't president.
Yeah.
You were holding the second highest
Well, how
office
about
in
in that,
all of the land.
that conversation that he said that the people told him that, like, you can't hold that money from us. You're not president. Oh, boy, call over there. He'll tell you the same thing.
Oh, Barack's got daddy's back.
Yeah.
So he admits it, and somehow...
Like the words, like I said, there's pictures of Democrats that are KKK members.
Yeah.
But when they're like, oh my God, look at this guy.
Trump's a racist. Well, he's not even a card holder,
Yeah.
let alone a racist. You literally just called a spade a spade,
Well,
and you have a card that says you're a KK member.
Don't you notice with Biden, they're like, Trump's totally saying, with no evidence, saying that Biden did this. Now, we asked Biden, let's go to the tape. And they show a camera like, Trump's saying all this bad stuff about you, Mr. Biden. What do you have to say about Trump saying this? I say that never happened. End of story.
Right.
What we need to do is be focused on Trump and get Trump out of here.
Right.
I mean, he goes right into that every
Yes.
time.
Yep.
So it's like,
I don't talk to my kids about their finances.
But then they come back to CNN or whoever, and they're like, "There you have it. We
Yeah.
just, they're out of his mouth. He said it himself, folks." But we don't do that for Trump.
No.
Trump was a Russian agent. No, I'm not. This was a witch hunt. He's a liar too. We're going to investigate for 3 years anyway. So we take all these, like even when the photo surfaces of the guy that Hillary loved, her mentor. He denounced. These people defend the fact that these people came on the record and denounced that they're part of the KKK anymore. They're not a card holder anymore, Scott. And that's like, okay.
Byrd,
Trump's the
Senator
racist.
Byrd, which was one.
Robert Byrd.
You're getting
Yeah.
into a topic that I could actually just. I could tear Hillary's credibility up, but folks, I'm gonna suicide myself later tonight because of it. She hugs and kisses this man on stage, and then later on during her campaign, she says, well, he's not around anymore to defend himself. He died. But, his last couple of years, he denounced ever being a part of... Listen, man, I'm not in the KKK. But if you're going to spend 45 years in any club, and now you want me to believe because your credibility is shot that I denounced that club now. I really doubt that you ever really did denounce it. But she was hugging and kissing him on stage long before he ever denounced the KKK. He was still an active member. But yet, here we are with this spin around and put it on Trump.
It's not like he was part of Club Med and then went over to this other, Trump Towers to start partaking there. Like, I just really didn't like it over there. I mean, it's like
a car dealer. I sell Chevys last year. They're the
Weren't
best vehicle on
you
the
a
planet.
KKK member? No, not anymore. I gave that up. That was a phase of my life I went through. I'm now into
Antifa.
I love everybody.
Right.
And again, we're taking the guy's word, and if you don't take his, you take Hillary, who says, "Oh, he no more." But then that same breath, they're like, "Trump's racist," and you're like, "Where? What did he say?" You go look, and I started hearing this during the election cycle.
Never seen a racist comment.
No.
They don't have one. But what they do have is Hillary or Oprah Winfrey, Jesse Jackson, Rosa Parks' family giving him award. You have all these people through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even into the 2000s applauding Trump for what he did for the minority communities, getting all these awards, being friends, sitting in front row seats at big events with people of ethnic backgrounds other than Caucasian, and all of a sudden he's president of the United States and he's a racist.
And I
holy cow!
And you don't see it. I started like cutting through the living room when the elections were ramping up in 2015, and they're like, "Well, there you have it, folks. Trump is definite racist." And it might have been on MSNBC or something. I'd stop and be like, "Uh-oh, what did he?" And I'd listen, and then they'd like, "Listen for yourself." They show the clip. He's like, "We need to build the border. We need to make it strong. Make America great again. We got to build that border. Can't have people coming in unvetted. It's bad. It's bad for all of us." And then it clips back, and he's like, "Well, there you heard it. There he is. He's racist."
But you
and I'm like, "Oh my, that's hurting my head."
But you and I can show these compilations of Hillary, Reid, Pelosi, Clinton, Obama, Bush, Reagan, Carter, Nixon.
All of them.
All of them for 50 years saying the same thing: stronger border, stronger military. We can't allow these people to just pour into our country. It's a burden on our system. And they've all said it for years. And if, God, I would almost want Trump to lose for one reason. Because if he loses, they will all go back to campaigning and doing the same thing that they always have been. It's just right now, for this little bit of history, anything he's for, they're going to be against. Because they're scared shitless, and I don't know why. I gotta imagine it's because they're all starting to watch everybody else get. Yeah, they don't like outsiders. God, I mean, if you or any one of our listeners ran for president of the United States, they would bury us.
Yes.
They would make sure we never got in front of a microphone because they don't. We're not in their club, and I could spin it into another thing we talked about. Money. Trump's only become president because he's getting rich off of it. Well, first of all, he's lost money since he's been a president. But there's websites, and I wish I would have found it, and I will bring it the next time when I'm here, unless one of you guys have it. Pelosi's a millionaire.
Yeah.
Reid is a millionaire. Bernie Pelosi, Maxine Waters. You look into most politicians. Bernie's the best one because he's never really done anything.
Yeah, 35 years doing this.
Ted Kennedy came from money. Nobody ever cared. And he was in Congress and Senate for 50 years, like one of the longest sitting. So again, the hypocrisy of Trump's not a politician. He shouldn't be president. Well, he's a businessman. And none of you were businessmen until you became politicians. And then you became rich. So I don't know which side of the fence you really want to stand on, but that's the ultimate hypocrisy. You were worth nothing, and now that you've been a senator or a congresswoman or man for, 10, 20 years, now all of a sudden you got all this money, and your husbands are getting big bank loans or handling big federal loans through their banking systems and making huge interest dollars off of it, and then boom, it lands in their personal bank account, and they got 3 or 4 homes, and meantime, Trump's an asshole because he's a rich businessman. So the hypocrisy is crazy. But they don't. I just hope that everybody's paying attention. But I'm seeing more and more that there is enough that really aren't. They just, Trump's horrible, Trump's this, Trump's that, and they just jump on that train. We hate Trump, impeach him. For what? Well, I don't know, whatever Congress said they wanted to impeach him for. Why are you out here rallying? Screw Trump, I hate Trump.
Yeah.
Well, why do you hate Trump? Because he's a racist. How do you know that? Well, NBC said so. They say it on the TV all the time. He's an phobophobe, or I can't even pronounce the word, so I love it when they all repeat the same verbiage, and half of them are too stupid to even understand the words they're using.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, he wants to protect the border. He doesn't want illegal aliens.
Xenophobe.
Then I'm a xenophobe.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Hillary.
Gitmo. We got to feed Gitmo, they're saying.
I think everybody's a xenophobe. Don't you want your borders protected? They make that word sound like they tie it to racism
why is it only here?
And bigotry.
We send our troops to other countries' borders to help defend it because they're getting taken advantage of or invaded. And that's what we're involved in other countries' civil wars, which are over borders. And nobody has an issue with our own Americans dying for other countries' civil wars, but
we have
we shouldn't have our own.
We have American contractors building walls around other sovereign countries.
Yeah.
They're leaving
taxpayer dollars
with our money.
Yep.
They take our money. They're being hired by our government, which Pelosi and Reid and all of them
support.
Approve.
Yep.
They vote yes, otherwise they wouldn't be over there. And they go to these places around the world and help build walls and build up their defenses. But by God, you do it here and you're a xenophobe.
Yeah.
Well, put me at the top of that list.
I wanted to back it up real quick because I had this thing pop in my head. I wanted to say it earlier and I forgot. I'm going to say it now. The Biden thing, that little conversation where he's up on stage bragging about what he did there a couple years earlier. Because that was like at the time he's telling that story, he's a civilian, but he's telling about the story 2 years earlier when he went over and strong-armed.
I told the son of a bitch.
I told that son of a bitch.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, I know. It's bad. And again, you look at that whole thing. It's everything they're accusing Trump of. But it's so plainly there. It's like right in the open where Trump's isn't. Now, the whole point of Trump's call, or not the whole point, but the whole point of what they're pointing at is him telling them to look at that. So everything Biden and his son did there for all those years, not worth looking into, no crime. But
Trump
what
looking
Trump
into
did,
it
Trump looking into it's the
is a
crime, the felony, the thing to impeach him. It could be the thing. It could be
That's
the thing.
like me committing murder and putting the cop
Yeah.
on the stand because he arrested me for murder.
Yeah. Well, how about this? How about Biden sitting there? Or I didn't know how they were going to spin that. Every time I think, ooh, we got them cornered. The media, this deep state actor. But man, every time they blow my mind when how they spin it. And I never know how they're going to do it.
I'll play devil's advocate.
Well, for this Joe Biden one, they said no. Like, okay, so this guy, the timeline goes in October of 16 or whatever. 15, 14, whatever year, 2014, that Joe Biden got word, it made it back to the States that there was an investigation by the prosecuting attorney over there looking at some stuff, and it was coming to that company, Bermusma Holdings.
Weird.
Then in November, they notified, again, hey, Joe, it's actually, they got your son's name on the list, so they're going to be getting a hold of your son. They want to talk to him. And then, so that was October, he got notified about the thing coming upwards towards the company. And November, it was his son was involved. By December, he was on a plane flying over there and demanded that it be shut down. So you see all that. Well, everybody spins it. They're saying, no, here's what Biden had said, that guy was crooked and he wasn't going to be looking into his son's company good enough. And that way, Joe Biden fired him to get a real prosecutor in there that would do a real good job looking into his son's company.
You mean looking the other way?
That's what we're supposed to believe.
And when he gave that interview,
and by the way, the guy did get in there. He's good, and he didn't find nothing wrong with my son's company. I mean,
it's effing weird how every time they get their own person to do their own research or investigation on themselves, they never find anything.
Well,
but they find all these guys to be able to
yes.
go out and investigate Trump and find a shit ton of stuff all the time.
But
never find anything on themselves.
And then you got the prosecutor that they put in, right? You had the guy before him that they're saying bad, crooked. He wasn't looking into anything. Well, actually, he was looking into the company. You fired him for it. Then you put in this guy. That guy's now been fired. There's a new one. So you have the new one saying that there was bad stuff with this guy. You have this guy under oath saying there's bad stuff with this guy. All the Democrats and all the people I argue with point back to this guy clearing Biden. Even the new president and all them want to look into this stuff. Even I think this guy's come out now and said that, yeah, it was bad. Like,
he's still alive?
Yeah.
He hasn't been killeried yet?
And he's saying things under oath today in court that contradict, and everyone's like, no, don't listen to him today. He's bad today. He's good then for that short time.
Yeah, right.
Like they just want to go to the small window of opportunity.
He used to be okay, but our own investigators found out he's corrupt. So it's almost like Comey and all them. We hate him. You can't trust him. He gets in the front of Congress and starts bashing Trump. You got to believe Comey. Now, wait a minute. Just 2 days ago, you said, why are we even investigating and putting him in front of a microphone? Because he's a liar. He can't be. Oh, wait a minute. Shit.
So... who was over there? So I watched the Glenn Beck thing. I don't know if you got a chance to.
I love Glenn Beck, but I haven't seen much of him since.
I'm going to send you a link today when you're out of here heading home, and when you get some time to watch this. But he had came on live from his network maybe 2-3 weeks ago and did this awesome Ukraine breakdown. He had he had chalkboards out, like 3 of them, all done up with lines and names, and just puts it in the very first when Biden got there and what they set up. And what transpired.
Sure.
The very last thing on the third chalkboard over is the phone call with Trump, and they just know that there's nothing here.
All that meat in the middle now.
Nothing. It's all about Trump and his phone call. But I'm telling you, it goes so much deeper because all these players are over there, names coming up, and then they start stacking up. Money come up missing 3 times of our 1.8 billion.
Weird.
It went from our thing to here, and then it just vanished.
Hush money.
They're like, well, not worth looking into, right? And then it gets into what's his name? Paul Manafort's over there on his own. This is well before, Manafort with George Soros, and 2 other guys. There's 4 of them. And they're all doing this stuff. Well, as it moves forward on this timeline, you get into the Trump announces running, and there's all this chaotic stuff. And then they end up hemming only up on Manafort. Next thing you know, Manafort, under this whole thing, he knows he's under investigation. All this stuff's going on. Further. He announces he's going to be running in put into Trump's campaign. So I think they made him, and none of these other names came out, which Beck was baffled about too. Like, wow, what the heck's going on
so
here?
They just put a fox in the hen house so they could use that as ammo later.
Then the people from the Ukraine started coming out wanting to come to the U.S. and they had to go through the embassy over there, or whatever, embassy, and the lady kept denying them. She's like, I need to get to you guys' White House and talk to the DOJ or the FBI.
Yeah.
No, denied. But they had put him in charge of the anti-corruption, which they never had before. They made a division over there called the anti-corruption. Obama made it, or Biden, whatever, and they appointed a guy. This was a guy trying to come over, and they wouldn't allow him, saying that no, he couldn't pass the checks to get here, and they put him on some kind of no list to come here. But yet he was a part of the anti-corruption over there, and he wanted to talk to our people because of all this stuff he was seeing. They didn't want him to come over and talk.
It all makes sense.
Oh, dude, that is basically it's everything put together in like an hour-long show, hour and a half. You have to see that. You'd be so amped up with facts that nobody could. You're like, no, because you don't know. And you'd be naming off little things that happen, and people are like, I didn't heard nothing about that.
But you know what they're going to do is they spin it all the time. I have people that I debate with all the time. Oh, I read it in this paper or that paper. I seen it on CNN.
Where'd you see that at?
And they'll ask me, where do you get your information? Well, I bet you watch Fox. Well, if and when I've admitted it, when I do watch television or news, I do watch more Fox than anything. But it's called the internet, and I can go grab all my own information, and it's overwhelmingly pointing to the hypocrisy at such a huge level that I can see it. And one of these days, it's probably going to become, maybe 20 years down the road, maybe, it will be when you go to college for political science, it'll be the very first class you take.
Ethics.
The Trump era.
Oh, yeah. The mess that you
Yeah.
need to understand. If you understand this, and you'll understand what not to ever do.
But you should be able to take that as a high school freshman.
Yeah.
All high school freshmen can take all this information if they're given it fairly and equally,
Well, and
determine there ain't nothing wrong here other than Biden should be in jail. Maybe Obama skates by because he made sure that he was never accountable, right? Like he didn't know the FISA thing was going on. He didn't know any of that, right? And
I don't think so, because we're coming out with, we're going to find out with these text messages where they're talking about that. Peter Strzok even told that Lisa Page, like, hey, POTUS, or however he named it, they're talking about Obama. I don't know if he used his code name, wants to be informed every day.
Right.
So there you go. You have FBI informing and meeting up with Obama and they're acting like Trump can't even talk to the FBI guy.
But there's a code of ethics amongst staffers, and one of them is if you feel like this could later hinder the president or anything, even higher up businesses, My wife, for example, she doesn't bring everything to my attention.
Yeah.
Because if it's something little and I've already had a real bad effing day or something, like my mom used to do it with my dad. She wouldn't tell him everything. If I got smart at school that day, she may not tell him because she could tell the mood he was in. He'd probably come way unglued.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And or to protect him. So I understand that Obama may not know about it, but if you got him and put a lie detector test on him and ask him if he was surprised or shocked at how Hillary and the dossier and the Ukrainian uranium, the Russian uranium, and then the Ukrainian situation with Biden and China. If you were to ask Obama, "Are you shocked? Are you surprised?" He would have to sit back in his chair and say, "No comment." Right?
Well, 8
years of corruption, if not more. That's just with Obama being involved. Hillary's been around for. Again, her and Bill came from Podunk, Arkansas, and all of a sudden became two of the most powerful people on the planet for a decade and a half or more. So they've done a very good job at covering their tracks. I now feel that I'm never going to get my dream, and that's to see Hillary brought up on high treasons on live TV and hung by the neck. It's not going to happen. I wished it. I wish she would have at least been investigated with the same amount of money and time and enthusiasm that they did with Trump. But
we are waiting while all this noise was going on, because if you remember, like Trump, to me, I'm 100% believer he doesn't lie now. Like everything he said during the ramp up, and he was heavily on draining the swamp.
Why does he have to lie?
Well, I'm just. No, he's not. I'm just saying we haven't seen that yet. And a lot of people point out, like we said, we've seen lots of people get removed from D.C. so far. Lots of people are not running for elections again.
Yeah, stepping down.
But
that would normally just mow over the competition and win again.
We're waiting on the paperwork from Horowitz and Huber or John Durham. Which is actually the
meat and taters of it all.
I don't think people are going to slide, man. And if so, like this, here's the other thing. Trump let the Mueller thing go on, didn't fire the guy. They screamed that he was going to fire him. At the end of that 2 years, or 2.5 years, or whatever, that Trump just let process happen. So now we know Mueller did not stop the coup. That's still going on.
Right.
We're living it. Trump keeps saying we're in the insurance policy right now. This is what we're living. So if these last two things, Horowitz and John Durham, fail to stop the coup, that's against, because that's what's going on. Trump will launch the Insurrection Act of 1807 and do what needs to happen to clean up the swamp, arrest these people for the crimes that they've committed, because they keep making up stuff more and more on Trump, fake investigations, fake 2-year witch hunts.
This is why they're trying so hard to get rid of
Well,
it.
that way in the history books and stuff, because the Trump administration is doing everything by the process. All the leaks have been stopped. That was something else. He had a leak a day for his first year in office. Not good for him either. So all these people that took oaths to be part of our country because they didn't like somebody that won, and you can say that, people are like, they're so butthurt. That doesn't really make sense. Nobody's ever that butthurt just because somebody else wins and you spend the rest of your life trying to mar them. They're doing that because they are freaking guilty and they know that they're going down unless they get him down.
See,
so
I was playing devil's advocate when I asked that question, and you just answered it.
Yeah, there's no way. I have never seen anyone act that way. People get
They're
pissed.
not upset so much that they hated Trump.
Yeah. I mean, there's Lifetime movies where the pageant lady doesn't win. She gets in second. She's sitting over there, and maybe she goes and tries to kill her. I get
or
it.
the guy's putting makeup on at night and checking people's names off his death list and stuff. Yeah, just because Trump won the presidency, I agree with you that these people aren't that so crazy that they're breaking all of these federal laws and doing all this cover up. Not just because Orange got elected.
Yeah.
It's because they have something seriously bad in the closet that if it comes out, they know off with their head type
It's
stuff.
done. It's like
I wanted to circle back when you said, I was trying to play devil's advocate earlier, but you kept going on with some really good points that
Leaking.
opened my. When Biden sat down and gave that interview, I can't help but think, but there's two reasons why he said what he said, when he wasn't bullshit, I'm going to take that money. One, he never planned on running for president. Or B, or two, this has got to be it, the Obama-Clinton machine was so put in place he could brazenly sit on live TV and tell the truth about the same thing he's ridiculing Trump for now. He's not stupid. They rerun the clip and he knows it. He watches it at night.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
somebody's putting it. Yeah, I did say that, but I'm not Trump. I'm protected. He knew he was going to run someday. He was Obama's bitch. Pardon my language. No, I'm not.
Trump said it.
But they thought they had to give Hillary her turn first. Most electable woman ever in history. Blah blah blah. He was so brave, just full of cockiness. He could say what he said and know he could get away with it, and that should piss off all Americans.
Yeah.
Because he actually admitted doing what they're accusing Trump of, and everybody is more upset about Trump than this guy's huevos being that big. He just blatantly said, screw it, I'm Joe Biden. What are you going to do, throw me in jail? He knew he was going to get away with it.
Phone call, Ukraine. What did I have on that? Well, and if you take
Can you pop up a screen so I can follow? Maybe, I don't know. I want to see some of the people chatting. I'm only catching one line, but
let me see here.
Towards the end of the show, I want to start paying attention to what some of their comments. They might be agreeing with us, or they might be.
Yeah, I can pull up.
SOBs.
I'll take off that picture up top, and then I'll get that up there to be full screen of text. On that phone call, real quick, if
Second Red Dawn. I like that comment. That was a good comment.
Where's my stream at?
I'm so thankful October is over. Why? See, I might be missing some of this. Mike, I'm like you. I believe Barr is fixing to get them. I see that went by too fast. I think Barr is the best guy to be put in that position.
Well, I wanted to make a comment on the leaking, by the way. So when that phone call from the Ukraine, how they also tried to hype it up in the media that it was put on a very secure hard drive server that nobody else had access to. So what does that tell you? That's the deep state. They planned on
Right.
leaking something from something that they couldn't find it because it was on this extra special. Now we find out Obama put a lot of stuff on that same thing too.
Yes, he did.
But that is hilarious that and do you think that Trump just comes up with this kind of stuff? Like, let's just put it over here. Like, it's probably somebody telling him that's in the intelligence community. He's like, hey, Trump, since you got these leakers and people you can't trust all around you, maybe we should start putting stuff over here. And then these people bitch about, because they're getting ready to go into that and leak it, and the hacker went in last night and he's like, I couldn't find the file. And
if the Republican Party and the higher ups within the party, and I heard, I think it was not Beck, the other one, crap.
O'Reilly.
No, I don't really follow him too much anymore. But anyway, if they don't take this opportunity to bury these people and actually follow the United States Constitution and try them and get them out of, now is the time. There's got to be so much overwhelming support. If they just show the facts, screw we're all brothers and sisters in this. This is a private club. And think patriotism, think for your country, and none of us are going to be so blind. Because if I start seeing Connell backpedal a little bit, I'll speak against him.
Yeah,
now is the time.
This is where you're going to see this division. Like, oh, I thought he was good the whole time, but he's not, because this is process.
Lindsey Graham, Jim Jordan from Ohio. I'm a huge Jim Jordan fan. Yep. Trey Gowdy would have been. I wished he would just stay with it, but he, whatever. Maybe they got something on him. I hope not. But now is the time to say, okay, we're not. This isn't about what club we're in. In order for this country to, you want to get over all of this quickly and get back to the way we were and doing things the right way. Admit it, show the proof, be done with it.
Well,
dragging it out is only going
to. This is me, like, and I've said it, like, if there is not, for everything that I know, and I'm not, it's not like I think it's to be true. No, I've seen enough evidence. I've seen what they say, what points, declassified stuff. WikiLeaks drops to know what has been said on the media and what's really happening. If people are not held accountable, if there is not, this can't just be, all right, now they're all happy Trump. Like justice needs to happen for the country to heal, to media regain any kind of anything in the FBI, the DOJ. There has to be, these people need to be held accountable, not just fired. I mean, I'm glad they're out. That's one thing, but there has to be
stop
justice.
It from happening again. Right.
That's right. There has to be equal justice.
It's like your mom saying, you might as well just tell your dad the truth before,
Yep.
just go to him,
get your whipping,
get it over with.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody's going to feel better, and you can move on quicker, and there'll be faster closure. Over here on your left screen, it's not that far left, but right here in front of him, Pelosi's impeachment falling apart. Some Democrats jumping ship. That article, third article. October 31st, Pelosi's impeachment falling apart. Some Democrats jumping ship. I haven't really read it, but I kind of want to. It's an opinion. Lawrence David.
An informal poll of the House Republicans suggests that they're unanimous of their opposition of tomorrow's scheduled vote to officialize Democrats' one-sided sham impeachment process. The same cannot be said of Democrats. So
trending, you have no evidence of that yet whatsoever. ABC anchor silences Adam Schiff.
Oh, wow. ABC anchor silences Adam Schiff.
You have no evidence of that yet whatsoever. Maybe I should tune in if that.
That's crazy, because that's ABC.
ABC's
normally they
Adam
would.
Schiff in this article? Oh, man, write that down.
No, this little thing popped up in the middle of our article, just telling you something that's trending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I read those too sometimes. It doesn't make sense to what we're just reading either, but it's all right. That's a good bit. That's a good trending bit, because
do you plan on voting for Trump in 2020? Hell yes. But now I hear scuttlebutt that Hillary is maybe considering, and a lot of big players in the Democratic Party are saying publicly, stay away, your time is done. And I remember the Saturday Night Live guy or whoever he was when Trump's going to run for president. Do it.
Yeah.
We all want you to do it. You're going to fail miserably, but it'll be good entertainment. Do it. I hope Hillary does run, because then you're going to have Warren, Bernie, and Hillary fighting it out, because she still has supporters.
Have you so the Eric Swalwell? I got this little just 30-second clip here. Watch this.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Eric Swalwell that's running for president as well for the Democratic Party.
But as you've seen this morning, the president announced a successful military raid that took out one of this country's biggest enemies. Here to discuss both.
It is unfortunate that the Speaker of the House and the Gang of Eight, at least on the Democratic side, were not notified. As you remember, before the Osama bin Laden raid, the Gang of Eight was read in by President Obama, and I hope that doesn't go to other issues where we are not being informed and able to play our oversight authority.
Let me wait a minute. You're saying that none of the Gang of Eight, you're talking about the intel head and the ranking minority member in each party, as well as the leaders in the House and Senate, none of them were informed about this?
On the Democratic side, and I was told that just before I came on, and I also read...
So not Chuck Schumer, not Nancy Pelosi, not the Adam Schiff?
That's correct. But it sounded like from the president's words that he had consulted at least with Richard Burr, who is the Republican lead on the Senate side. And again, that just goes to larger concerns that the president is abdicating the responsibility to keep Congress informed. And
Speaker Pelosi ahead of time?
No, I didn't. I didn't do that. I wanted to make sure this kept secret. I don't want to have men lost and women. I don't want to have people lost.
Do you anticipate inviting the Special Forces teams to the White House after
Oh, yeah,
this?
they'll be invited. I don't know if they'll want to have their faces shown, to be honest with you. They're incredible for the country. They're not looking for public relations. But they love doing what they're doing. I've seen it. First Lady was out there recently looking at what they do. She came back, she said, wow, I've never seen anything like that. The training, all of the training and the power of the people, the men and women, the strength, the physical strength, the mental strength. These are incredible people. These are very unique individuals.
The world see not a
that I don't know what they're looking at, and so I'm not really in a position to say you shouldn't investigate. Okay, you're going to investigate. John Durham is someone who has a strong professional reputation, someone I've for years thought was an excellent prosecutor. I can't tell what's going on with the Attorney General. I would hope that Mr. Durham will do everything possible to protect his reputation from being damaged by those in leadership, and the most important way he can do that is give us transparency. I'm not worried about a single thing in connection with any of the matters under investigation. Gather the facts, write a report, and share it with the American people. Please do that. Because all this stuff in the media with the Attorney General saying stuff doesn't jibe is an attack on the integrity of the institution, which he is supposed to be leading. The way to protect that is show the folks the facts. Lay it out. Don't drip it out. Don't leak it out. Give it out. And I'm confident that when the American people see the picture of why we did what we did, their confidence in the institution will be maintained, restored, and protected.
I feel so much stupider. Is that a word? Stupider?
So that dude was a leaker. Remember,
transparency. Well, quit having your closed door impeachment.
Even
hearings.
Anderson Cooper hit up Comey and was like, "Well, you're the definition of a leaker. You took paperwork and gave it to that reporter, science or college professor friend of yours." And he goes, "Well," and he argued.
Needed to be done.
Yeah, he goes, "Well, I did that in the hopes that there would be a special grand jury convened," which happened.
Right.
So, yeah, he doesn't like to look at himself. Like Comey's won over my time of doing this channel and looking at his shit.
Why do people
there can be
still...
500 in a room, and he'll claim that you all heard him wrong.
Right.
And,
Right.
You all
You're
saw
all
me.
Liars. No, I'm sorry. You're not liars, because I really love and respect all of you. I just think that came out wrong.
Yeah.
You heard
I think you guys took my words wrong into your ears. I did not mean it the way.
I blame you for it. I'm not trying, he's trying to be their friend while he's bullshitting.
Yes.
He's like a perfect car salesman.
Yes.
And somebody keeps paying him to do these interviews and these, $100 plate. I got to imagine it's $5 plate, yesterday's Red Lobster's leftover type dinners. Because why would anybody want to, he's a big name in history right now. And usually I would say, well, I would love to sit down with, somebody. I wouldn't even waste my time going a block down the road to listen to him for 10 seconds.
That Swallow, what did you think about him being all upset that the Democratic side didn't get involved in something?
I'm sorry.
Same thing that's going on with the impeachment, wasn't it?
Well, I do remember a president that begged or asked, I don't know, because it wasn't transparent to the American public, but 3 times one president asked Putin to please stop. This is a new line in the sand we're going to draw. And I know other times he or Hillary leaked out, or their administration leaked out where our troops were going to be and what was going to happen, and then, catastrophes happen. When you're going to war, or you're going to do what our special forces just did, as far as attacking that compound and getting rid of one of the nastiest SOBs on the planet, you don't let them know you're coming. And if you think for 1 second that maybe somebody in our own country and high up, because going back to what you just said, we have a big I don't think these people are patriots. They're not even really trying to protect themselves in their seats. They're against us. Why in the hell would he ever call Pelosi in the middle of, hey, listen, babe, we got the perfect thing going on. Our special forces are the best on the planet. They've been training for this.
They're going to be there at 6 a.m., by the way.
He's going to be there. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, soldiers would have died.
He should have set her up. Yeah, we're going to be there in 22 hours and get there in 10, have it done, and try to,
this is my own look at...
you can take it to the bank. He's not going to be president.
I think Trump has been setting up a lot of people. People are like, because we've had this revolving door. I have my own theory on that. It's like, okay, I know a good business person, you have to, we've talked about this. You have to get good at firing, not hiring. Right. You always want to focus on, I want to hire the best people I know and good friends. And it should be a good time then if I have all these people, But really, it's about...
you got to learn to make the tough decisions.
Yeah. You got to get good at firing real quick so you don't deal with problems for too long that just keep bringing you down longer. You can nip it in the butt, and eventually you'll get stacked up. This is Trump's thing I was reading about, like his way of doing it. So
part of the deal, man.
It's wild. But on this whole... setting people up, I think people are like, what? He's hiring Bolton? This guy was out of the Bush era. What the hell is like? They didn't like stuff he did way back when, and it was kind of weird. And then it was like these people weren't around too long. They're right back out. The media is like, oh, there we go again. Trump came up, blah. Then those
nobody
people,
wants to work for
those
him.
people that he ends up leaving. They end up going back and setting up Twitters and talking nothing but crap, dude. Like the systematic, like Trump's just the worst man ever, and I'm writing a book now. And it's like...
Well, if he's the worst man ever, then what's that say about you? Because you got fired.
I think that they were brought back for past crimes that might have been expired, and they couldn't get them, I don't know, and then brought them in, put them into positions to do the right thing, and they didn't.
To start the timer again?
Something, for something new to like, all right, you had... So I honestly think the process, the Mueller, not shutting it down, everyone's like, well, yeah, it was like, boom, you're automatically... When all them hard questions came from the Republicans when they brought Mueller to testify, names like we all know from everything, like you knew there was this one guy they got here, and then there was this connection here, but when asked, he'd be like, I never heard that name.
Yeah. Can you repeat that question again?
It's like, you never heard that? You never went that way? Now, was that your restrictions to what you were investigating? And maybe when you went to go down that way, you were met from Durham or someone else? Because here's the funny thing. All these other investigations have been going on for about a year and a half. Yeah. They were just quiet. They were in the background, all this Russian noise, Trump tweeting to keep them going. I think it just kept the attention off of it.
Well, no. That and the liberal machine is more concentrated on anything and everything Trump.
Yeah, so, not that real news. They wanted the fake news over here.
And good for you, because just the other day I was looking at, I knew I was going to get in a debate with somebody, and I wanted to go in with loaded guns, so I looked up good things, in my opinion, that Trump has done. Some of the people he's pardoned lately, some of the plans, only the president he can implement or take away or whatever. He removed
executive order.
Gosh, my brain is not wanting to work today. But I was really impressed with some of the people that he has pardoned, and the reasons why he pardoned them. The one military guy that under the Obama and Clinton regime was thrown in prison. The one for sitting in his council in the submarine, took a picture.
Yes.
And then the other guy
Chris Saucier or something.
And then the other guy, he just pardoned McCallery, Navy SEAL. He was found semi-guilty, in my opinion. There wasn't enough overwhelming fact, but and then he pardoned 2 marijuana drug dealers from the 70s. One being a woman that was a reborn Christian and helping women in the prison system for the last 30 years. She's a grandmother now. They interviewed her, and she just was overwhelmed with joy. She didn't think she was ever going to get out because she was found guilty and told life. And Trump's looking at some of this. And now you see where Trump has attacked some of this marijuana stuff. And he's been asked, and he's like, you know what, really? Marijuana is not as big a, and I'm trying to sound like him, not as big as a deal as I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But it's the state's decision, right? And now you get people on Facebook, some of the hippies, like, oh, he's not ever going to legalize marijuana. He never said he was going to. He said he wouldn't care. But it's up to the individual states. I also know that he said there's pros and cons on both sides. Good tax money would be good for the system, school systems, yada, yada, if the politicians use the money correctly. So at the end of that long questioning, he said, it's really up to the states. It's not my job to tell the states they have to legalize marijuana,
Yes.
But he's letting some of these people out of jail. Why did it take this long? Well, he's a racist. Well, the one woman was a black woman that spent 30-some years just because she got caught with a large amount of marijuana in 1970-something, So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff going on, but the media is not talking about it. They just don't. Because they can't give him credit for anything. They can't make him look good. Not at the same time they're trying to bash him all the time.
No.
I mean, they can't beat him in an election, so they're trying to find him guilty of something. You've talked about this over and over and over again. They've already found him guilty. He's already sitting in front of the jury, which is the American people. And now they're just trying to get something to stick. And it's just boring the hell out of me. And upsetting me.
No, I don't know. D-classes destroy.
I want to bring up a funny joke or a funny note too, not so serious, although it's very disgusting and it kind of points in the direction of maybe where this country's continuing to go. Oxford University, I don't know if you've seen that in the news, but you're no longer allowed to clap at Oxford entertainment events, plays,
Wow.
sporting events. They would rather you put your hands in the air and make some kind of gesture, because not all people are comfortable with being clapped at.
Wow.
So no longer at Oxford, one of the greatest universities on the planet, supposed to be high regards where brainiacs go. I went to Oxford type stuff. No longer are you allowed to clap in support.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's sad. And it is Friday, so we'll go from that to the disgusting anybody involved with the mother that wants to change the sex of her 6 or 7-year-old boy, and the husband is trying to he applied for emergency custodial hearing with the local courts, and I think they're kind of taking their sweet time. But this woman wants to change the sex of her child, a 6-7-year-old boy. She claims that he wants to be a girl. And she's willing, and she always wanted a little girl. So, and the dad's sitting over here thinking, you're not changing my son to a girl because you're nuts. So there you go. No clapping in Oxford, and we're now changing the sex of children to suit our own adult, disgusting fantasies or dreams or needs. I wanted a girl. Okay, why didn't you spend the $20,000 to get the Invertro where they can make it, right? Can't they do that? I thought if you really wanted a boy or a girl, you could make sure of that. I think, but it costs lots and lots of money. No, we'll just wait till he's 6 or 7 and get him to tell a judge, yeah, I want this sex change, and make the taxpayers pay for it. It's just sick. Can't clap at Oxford and changing the sex of children. No wonder why California's under fire.
All right, we will. We're going to look at some different chatters here on our way out, like we always do. We'll do a shout out with you guys. Tell us where you're from. Not yet. I'm going to play another little.
Make it a long one. I got to take this sweatshirt off.
Yeah, it'll be like a 4-minute video here.
She should be arrested for child endangerment and a list of child crimes. sex crime. I don't care what you throw at her. Just if the child is attached to it, and you're able as a prosecuting attorney to charge her with it, charge her with it. She's obviously crazy.
Yes. All right, we'll be right back. Watch this, folks. The closest we've ever seen to a coup. McCarthy promises accountability as Barr reviews the IG's FISA report. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, a Republican out of California, promised that guilty parties will be held accountable after Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz releases his report on the FBI's alleged abuse of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, in the Russia investigation, and predicted that former Bureau leaders James Comey and Andrew McCabe will face criminal charges after what he described as an attempted coup to take down President Trump. This is what we've been waiting on. Now, due to actual Christopher Steele testifying in late June, this has all been held up. This is now turned over. This is in the hands of Barr. It's being reviewed for what can be redacted and what can be released to the American people. When McCarthy was asked if there would really be people held accountable, he said yes. Let's take a listen in here.
Leader Kevin McCarthy. And Leader McCarthy, I want to get your reaction to a draft of the Department of Justice Inspector General report on the Russia probe now being in the hands of Attorney General William Barr. It looks like we're actually going to get to the bottom of the Russia probe. A lot of people don't realize you were among the leaders out there making sure that people understood what took place. And you exposed the fraud, just the way Congressman Nunes did and John Ratcliffe. Congressman Ratcliffe has been on this program a lot. What should we expect?
Well, I can't thank Devin and John Ratcliffe and Jim Jordan and the others enough for how much they have done on this. Because what we were finding, and remember, we had to pull this information out. There were people at the highest levels in the government that were causing this problem, but were not allowing. We came the closest ever to this country having a coup, and now we need accountability. I respect this Attorney General so greatly that the way he has handled this, he believes in accountability, but more importantly, he believes in the rule of law.
Are we going to see accountability, though, really? I mean,
yes.
Andrew McCabe, they are recommending charging an indictment here. Will we see an indictment?
We will see an indictment. And remember what we're talking about here. Here's the number 2 at the FBI, who is going after individuals, trying to prosecute them, believing that they have lied when he's lying himself. When law enforcement does not uphold the law, when tries to put their thumb on the scale, that to me is where we really have to stand for accountability.
So far, anything about Jim Comey, he's getting off. I mean, people want to know.
In the end, I do not believe Jim Comey will get off. America sees that the president was correct about firing this individual. How worse would it have been if this man was still in his job today? What he was doing and what he was saying. What's even worse is the Democratic Party wants McCabe to come to a fundraiser. That's absurd.
Unbelievable. A lot of people point to the CIA being one of the masterminds, John Brennan. Are we going to see John Brennan come back and answer some questions?
Anyone that has had any association with trying to create this coup should be held accountable. I believe just had a conversation with Lindsey Graham. I know he'll bring individuals back into his committee, and I know we will not stop. And I give all trust within this Attorney General Barr that he is doing what is right and will uphold it. He'll take it wherever the evidence and facts lead him.
You said this is the closest thing to a coup. That's unbelievable. Both sides of the aisle should be outraged by that.
Just go back to what the text said. During the campaign, when they were concerned that President Trump at the time candidate, could win, don't worry, we have an insurance policy. And now we're finding all that insurance policy out. Those people should be held accountable because no one who ever runs for president should have to go through that again.
Real quick.
Hey, we're back. All right, we ran.
Sorry, I had to pull my hoodie off. It's getting hot here in the studio.
All right, all roads lead to Obama. Somebody said that is correct. Let me pull up these tweets or the text.
So Mike and I, we were just joking a little bit about who was the guy on CNN that said, well, we only did what the commander-in-chief Obama told us to. And the second time, when they were trying to lead in the commercial, the guy leading the interview was like, okay. You know, almost like, let's go to commercial. But these people, I know, I got to believe, have been told from day one, you know, sitting in their dungeon all by themselves without the other party. Anytime you're in the media or in front of a microphone or a camera or being asked a question and you don't know the answer, please refrain from saying anything about Democrats and go right into Trump campaign, grab them by the beep, or just key words, you know, deflect. Because that guy literally sat there and I don't recall. He sounded like, what's his name off Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, and I have...
Not Elmer Fudd, but the... Come on, help me, guys. Who's the... Yosemite Sam.
Or the Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Hold on here, YouTube. We got comments up there in that section you could read.
So the other thing that I just mentioned, I don't know what we missed while you guys were typing some things in there. Porky Pig. About the case, and I'm not going to pull it up because it just, I think you guys see me get excited because it does drive me crazy. The father that's screaming for attention to this court case about his ex-wife or his wife that he's divorcing because she's nuts. In order for this to happen, in order for a child to have its sex changed at 6 or 7 years old, I can't fathom, or I don't even know what the numbers would be, but there has to be dozens and dozens of adults involved with the decision and or process to change this child's sex. That's the scary part. There must be a judge, a jury, that would agree with her, and she would be number one, right? She's the first adult that's nuts. Then a jury would have to agree with her. That's another 12 people, so there's 13 adults. And then a judge would have to sign off on it. That's 14 adults. And then you would have to find the surgeon, his nursing staff, and however many people that would take, the anesthesiologist, all the way down to the manufacturer of whatever products they put in a girl or a boy to make them a girl or a boy. So you got to be thinking there's 30 to 40 adults that would have to go along with this to make it happen. Find them all guilty on all accounts that you can possibly throw at them and throw them in a dungeon somewhere. You do not have the right. This is 10 million times worse than popping emotion-controlled drugs into children. You know, they started doing that in the 80s and 90s. Oh, this kid can't pay attention. Well, be a parent. You just don't give your kid a little blue pill and put him in front of the TV so you can go be an adult. You know, you made a decision to raise this child. I'm not always perfect as a father, but it's never the kid's fault, right? This certainly would not be the child's fault. You're going to make this kid in 15 to 20 years is going to walk into a school or a public building and just kill everybody in sight if somebody doesn't stop this. I don't know what to even say without getting it. There's no kind way of saying this. Any adult involved with this situation should be found guilty.
Oh, yeah.
Guilty. This is sick. It's playing fantasy on such a huge level. I can't believe there's even people alive that think this is a good idea. But they have us. They apparently she has her day in court, and I hope they televise it, and I hope that judge stands up and smacks his gavel and commits her to a sane asylum.
I agree.
That father, I could not imagine. I mean, my kids, my oldest two, went through a divorce. I was hell. I felt bad for them. I couldn't do certain things, but you know, he still has his fatherly rights. I feel for him, and I feel for that kid. I don't feel for anybody else involved. Are they saving more children in the tunnels in California?
See, there's some reports that all the burning in California is that they're burning all the underground DUMS bases out there. I mean, we're not getting that. We're only there's forest fires and that, but
Well, what's his name's island just not too long ago?
He had the same thing.
It blew
Epstein.
up because of storms.
yeah.
I never seen hurricanes or tornadoes or tidal waves cause an island compound to explode as if it just got detonated with 100 million tons of TNT.
All right, hold on. We're gonna listen to this. Let me see what this says.
I think President Obama was behind it. There's a group of people working against you. Do you think President Obama was behind it?
This is one. Check this out.
A group of people working against you. Do you think President Obama was behind it?
I would say that he certainly must have known about it because it went very high up in the chain, but you're going to find that out. I'm not going to make that statement quite yet, but I would say that President Obama had to know about it.
Talking about the coup. Yeah, because if they don't go down, folks, I have said, oh, boom, President Trump drops a bomb on Obama and Spygate. Obama had to know. President Trump fired off a warning shot at Barack Obama and the deep state last Wednesday morning. The president tweeted out on Tucker Carlson's comments and then added a warning. Someone should call Obama up. The Obama administration spied on a rival president campaign using federal agencies. I mean, that seems like a headline to me, at Tucker Carlson. It will start coming out and the witch hunt will end. Presidential harassment. Now, President Trump has repeatedly called out Obama administration for spying on his campaign and the transition team. Late last week, President Trump sat down with liberal journalist George Stephanopoulos from ABC News for an exclusive interview. He actually gave George 2 days of access to the White House and shadowing President Trump. And do you think the media would report on that transparency for allowing this known Clinton associate to have full access for 2 days? No, they didn't jump on that. Trump dropped this zinger during the interview. For some reason, the liberal media has ignored it completely. President Trump on the Spygate scandal. Obama had to know.
Look, George, you're being a little wise guy, okay? Which is, typical for you. Just so you understand. Very simple. It's very simple. There was no crime. There was no collusion. The big thing's collusion. Now there's no collusion. That means it was a setup. In my opinion, and I think it's going to come out. I hope it's going to come out. We're going to find out very soon because I really believe it's going to come out. When you look at Strzok, these FBI guys that were lowlifes, when you look, because the FBI is the greatest, but the top people were absolute lowlifes. When you look at Strzok and Page, and they're talking about an insurance policy just in case she loses, that was the insurance policy.
I've heard you talk about
I
that
went
before.
through George. I went through the insurance policy.
I understand that, but if they were determined to prevent you from becoming president, why wouldn't they leak it beforehand?
You know what? You'd have to ask them. Oh, they tried. They tried. And you know what? Had that gone out before the election, I don't think I could have. I don't think I would have had enough time to defend myself.
You clearly believe there was a group of people working against you. Do you think President Obama was behind it?
I would say that he certainly must have known about it because it went very high up in the chain, but you're going to find that out. I'm not going to make that statement quite yet, but I would say that President Obama had to know about it.
There you go. So I that's Trump's opinion. I'm going to stick with him, that he would have had to have known about it.
I agree.
It's crazy.
Although that, like I said earlier, they're trained in all levels to make sure you protect your higher ups. I mean, you were in the military. There was only certain things you were allowed to know. And if you did know something that maybe implicated your boss, there was protocol to follow. Well,
Yeah, no, like we know Oliver North, or for example, like was he the guy mastermind that did the whole selling the weapons? No, he was probably, what was he selling weapons for? Something bigger. The whole Iran-Contra.
He supplied himself the guns to sell. He manufactured them. So, I mean, come on. I mean,
He's the guy that went down. Somebody wanted somebody to go down.
That's correct.
He was good enough for that cause. So
I can't believe he was able to manufacture over 3,000 firearms and drive the truck to the plane, deliver it, you know, put him on the plane himself, fly it across, you know, and then hand deliver it. And
so they had the plausible deniability set up for that case alone. But that's the thing here is, I believe in this day and age, with all of this technology that they gather on all of us, the only true way they could have kept this hidden was to stay in power. So when she lost, they kind of lost control of this.
Right. The ball was getting untwined.
Yes.
And they were going to clip it before it kept tangling.
All right, let's do some shout outs here. We are definitely did a good show today. We're over an hour.
Yeah, I could keep talking all day. I know some of you probably don't want me to, but I do have things I have to go get to.
Let us know where you're from, by the way, too. Throw a shout out of where you're tuning in from, state, city, whatever, or if you're from across the pond. Let us know.
Training in Psalm 29 Psalms. Come words for Christ. Patriot, you people. Gallipolis, Ohio, or Bastrop, Texas. Bastrop. New York.
Binghamton.
Oh, man,
I've been to Binghamton, Donna. I've been to get a good buddy there. Look at this.
There's at least one constitutionalist in New York. That's great.
Belfast, UK.
Lake Fork, Texas, Colorado Air.
Mississippi.
Bozeman, Montana, beautiful country. Probably the most beautiful country in the United States. SLC, Utah. SLC. Acronym for
Knoxville. Fort Myer.
Ohio. You got a good guy in Jim Jordan.
Jim
there
Jordan.
in Ohio.
Yes.
I see him. He's very presidential. From England, but living in Saskatchewan.
John Brulin, Tennessee.
Los Angeles.
Ooh.
Temperatures rising in Los Angeles.
Grillin, Pennsylvania.
Fort Myers, was just down there last winter doing some fishing. Hope to go back this winter.
Redneck Reality, North Kakalaki.
Great. Grants Pass, Oregon. Gorgeous, gorgeous country. I'm behind enemy lines, he says. Shh.
LBC.
New York, deplorable.
War-torn California.
That's great.
Norway. Narvik, Norway, baby.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Wow. New York, deplorable here.
Mizzou, Voodoo Queen.
It's awesome that you guys are all here today. Let's see what we got.
Fort Myers. Yes, sir. Or ma'am, sorry. You'll know when I'm down there. I'm actually in 2 or 3 weeks, right before Thanksgiving, I'm going down with a group to Stream Song. It's a golf resort in southern Florida. We're going to go to a Civil War cemetery and hope to do a live cast from there. Just a little bit of history. It won't be, for me, it won't be a very long show. So I'm looking forward to that. They got some of that old Spanish moss hanging from trees. The last time I was down that way and went through one of them, I had to sit down on a bench. I caught it at dusk, so that it was just gorgeous, kind of eerie.
Heck yeah.
LGBTQ community, kids, oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Not going to use the word Queer.
Spell it, though. Trump
listen,
rally.
I don't care about...
Ooh, is tonight Trump rally in Mississippi? Is that tonight or is it the 4th?
Mississippi burning. I don't know.
I'll look it up. It's fine.
It's a pray rally. Prayers from California, another California. My sister's out in that area, Sonora. I'd tell you her name and address, tell her hello, but no. Trump rally is in Mississippi.
Yep. tonight, 7 p.m. All right, you guys. Yeah, I'll probably stream that here on the Patriot Hour 2.0.
What are your thoughts on the 51st state? Question mark. Did I miss something?
Who's that supposed to be? D.C. They're trying to push for. No, not D.C.
Puerto Rico?
Probably either Puerto Rico or
Sandy King on the House. What'd you mean, 51st state? Real quick. 51st.
We're about 30 seconds behind. She'll hear you.
Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of lag. Northeast Georgia mountains. California's burning around me.
Real quick, I'll bring these over. You can.
Raleigh in Tupelo, Mississippi, Lexington, Kentucky. Man, he is in the South, baby. And then Monroe, Louisiana.
So
where counties aren't counties, they're called. What do they call them down there? It's a cool word.
Oh yeah.
Not a village. Sorry.
So the 1st, the 4th, and the 6th. So we got one tonight. What do we got here?
I'm hoping she says what she thought that 51st state was.
North and South Carolina, she put.
North and South California.
California, I meant.
Well, it's funny you say that. The last time I spoke with my brother-in-law and my sister, well, not the last time, but one of the biggest conversations. My sister was very liberal. She's coming back to her conservative roots because now she's a mother of 2, and she's opened her eyes a little bit. But they did inform me that, and we've heard it before from some of our listeners, and even the one guy that cameraed in the one day. There's a huge difference between South and North California.
Yes.
Been all over that state, and that's absolutely the truth. It's kind of like upstate New York in the city.
Yeah.
The
city
it kind of is like electoral college.
Yep.
One city is speaking for the entire masses of the people, and it's starting to annoy some people.
Yeah. My buddy said the New York City's like a cancer to the state.
Yeah, I think you might have drove up there with me. I did an install several years ago just south of the Canadian border. And I asked the guy, one of my biggest questions I always ask one of my customers, what's your biggest pains? How can I help you? That's the best way to get to some of his problems.
Yeah.
And he said, my biggest pain is I'm paying a New York City tax. And I live 700 miles away.
Yeah.
And it's his biggest tax.
Trump moved out, you see, or he's filing to get out of there. Like he's gone, and
Lots
the mayor's like, "Good riddance." Like you're just
Blasio, is it Blasio?
Was it Rush? I was listening to just a little bit ago out in the garage, and Rush was bringing up the fact that he was one of the first ones to leave. Not to take anything away from going on today, but he said, "I did it in '97," and the mayor there actually had a press conference on me, Rush, for leaving in '97, and he played a clip, and the guy was like, "Who cares? If we known he was going to leave, we would have upped the taxes code before
earlier." To get his ass
so there
out
you
of
go.
Yeah. Now he's in Sarasota or Fort Myers, recruiting from Laguna Beach, whatever, his studios. He actually did a show a while back, and when I was in Florida last year around the Fort Myers area, last winter, not even a year ago, I became privy to there's communities popping up down there, New Yorkers that are fleeing New York. And, it's like anything else. 1 or 2 people go down Lakeville, Indiana, my little hometown, has a community in Florida, inland, where all these people are, as they retire, they end up in the same spot because word of mouth gets back. Well,
it's like their famous street that they all lived on. They kind of remake down here because they all get together because they like each other's company. They just don't like the physical state they're in because of what's going on around them.
$117 billion of net worth left the state of New York last year. 90% of it ended up in Florida.
Yep.
Because Florida's like, come on down.
They're flushing them out because they keep making these. It's like, everyone wants these just raise the cigarette taxes. Well, once cigarette packs get to $20 a pack and the tax on them's $30, people are like, I'm not paying $50 for a cigarette pack. I'm done smoking. And then they're all going,
where are we going to get our
let's get them on air. They all breathe air.
Right.
I mean, it'll be something next. That's what's scary, and you never know what that next is.
This is what I tell people that bitch when they see me. You should really quit smoking. You better hope I keep smoking.
Yeah.
Because when I'm done smoking, that glass of wine you're drinking, or that cigar, or that cheeseburger from, one of the... They're going to tax that because once they get their
hands... Let's make a fast food tax. And
it's $600...
large soda tax.
$600 billion industry. The government has to replace that money somehow, And if you think you're innocent or never going to be touched, maybe it's just us filthy smokers that are paying it now. But if you do away with it,
and this is
up a creek without a paddle, man.
And that's why I honestly, again, this is my own looking into things. I think we're going to seal up the border. I think Trump's subtly talking, he's making the joke. I should have said I was never going to do the border. Then they would have said, oh yeah, you are. You're going to do the border. And I could have reverse psychologied them. But I think it's for our taxes. Like, we're eventually going to be tax free here. Like our Constitution originally stated, a small tax. Let's do tariffs, charge other countries. We're all wanted to be kings here, and the women are supposed to live like queens. We're supposed to live like kings, have a small, maybe little property, and have some taxes possibly. But other than that, tariffs.
To maintain a government that checks in and comes to Washington twice a year to vote and talk, not become career politician.
We do them 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Lobbyists, that industry is a $1 trillion a year industry. $1 trillion. It's a made-up industry. What is that industry? Friends,
lobbying,
lawyers,
networking, talking,
bullshitting.
Lunches,
done for you
lunches and dinners and
you don't
hookers.
need to call it something, and you sure shouldn't be allowed to do lobbying, because before you were called a lobbyist, you were called a politician or somebody that wanted something done, and they reached out and found a friend somewhere. Well, now there's buildings in Washington, D.C. surrounding the Capitol of nothing but lawyers running all of our lives and raising our rates on everything, our mortgage interests, our car loans, you name it. Somebody in a suit
It's almost like it's its own system coming against all the people that it was supposed to represent.
Oh, the swamp.
That's weird, isn't it?
It's weird.
Well, because we fought to get away from this. This is real simple to people. It's like in 1776, we didn't like sending money back way over to this King George, so we decided, hell with it, and we fought and we. So if like Pelosi and Schumer's are for something, you should be for the opposite, because it's always that's what I'm going with. If you can't make sense of this system, if you can at least learn the bad players, and if they're for something, then you should be opposite of it. Because that's like with the tariffs, you haven't heard one good thing. It's not like this is our constitutional. We're getting back to that. It's this is horrible. We already get $4 trillion a year in money, and everyone's like, oh wow, $4 trillion. I like that number. That's way more than Trump's billions in tariffs. Right. Well, that $4 trillion comes directly from your tax dollar,
and they're not spending it wisely.
No,
they need more.
They need more already.
Okay, so they let's say they have 1,000 taxes in this country, which I wouldn't be surprised after you add them all up.
Yeah.
So 1,000 ways they took money from us, right? And then somebody comes up with this new plan for, like Warren is, universal health care, right? That's only going to be one more tax. That's just one more tax. So we all know that anything ran by the government fails, and it always ends up costing more than it was ever consumed, right? Or intended. So, and that's going to be the last time we tax you. Bullshit, right? They're going to keep taking, instead of us asking or demanding that you be frugal and fiscal responsibility. I hate Republicans that always say, party of the fiscal responsible ones. Bullshit. You're part of the same group of people that. Well, you were satisfied. You said all you needed back in 1996 was my wheel tax for 2 years to help the roads, and then it was going to come off the books. Well, for 20 years.
After you give them 2 years that they're running on it, how they're going to live without it now?
That's
they don't. They can't.
They're getting used to. We're just feeding this pig, and their answer is more money. Mike. Scott.
You just need a little bit more.
You put any politician in that chair right across from you and I right now and ask, how would you get something done? Electable guys like you or me, or ex-military, or people that actually care would say, well, it's easy. We're going to cut fat.
Yeah.
We're not going to ask for any more money. But 80% of them SOBs, we're just going to add 2 cents to every gallon of fuel today. And in 4 years, we might have to add 5 or 6 more, because I'm sitting here lying to you and it's way out of budget and it's not even plausible. So we just need to screw you some today, but we're going to get you right in the back door later.
What would your plan on that be, sir? And they put Mike, well, I would plan on getting a whole new office opened up with a whole new group of people and a budget coming in.
Right.
That,
Before we do anything, I need $1 million a year just to pay for my staff. Right?
I'm going to need a staff. I'm going to need cars, lots of stuff on the rigs. And
very simple. You look at use Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, The Democratic Party, he was a great president, but he said that you American people are too stupid to save yourself. After that Great Depression, we're going to start taking some of your money out of your paycheck every week because you are too dumb to save it yourself. And then when you retire, it may or may not be there, and we're going to just rob from it all the time in hopes of that when you do get there, there's just a little bit of your dignity left. That we're probably going to make a tax called receiving my Social Security check tax. Well, you're getting free money. They always get away from the fact that it's your money.
Oh, yeah.
I would have much rather have given all of my money since day one, and you can opt out of this. Tell your teenage kids they do not have to pay Social Security. They can opt out. It's a one-time, and once you opt out, you can't go backwards. So if you're broke later, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
But you're better off taking, let's say, you $75 a week comes out of your tax or your check for Social Security. Put that in a Roth, or just put it in a frickin' box in the dirt underneath your house. It's going, at least A, it's going to be there, and B, there's going to be more of it there than what they ever promise you. Because, by the way, if you're like my dad and you die, he never drew one penny of his Social Security.
Jeez.
And then they told my mom, well, we don't think you're going to get 100% of his money.
Yeah.
No. You're going to make sure.
We got to look at some things here. No, again. It's always a crapshoot.
I'm not an anarchist. I believe in government. I believe in a republic. I believe in structure and fiscal responsibility. I'm not just holding up a flag saying burn it all down, because what we have is the greatest on the planet.
Yes.
But don't ever believe any politician that
Well,
says...
in these changes that have been made, like, okay, so our founding fathers, our Constitution here, we know it was a new idea. It was a bunch of people that came from a system similar to what we got, but they wanted changes in it, like, we shouldn't pay tax. None of us. We should all be miniature kings, kind of like what the king was doing over there. What a great idea! But it didn't last long. It didn't take too long for somebody to. And what I believe that disaster to be was the 1871 Organic Act, when D.C. because our Constitution talked about having a capital not so much bigger than 10 miles wide by this, right? And
meeting place.
It was Abraham Lincoln that took us into the Insurrection Act because of the North and South and all that going on, and he brought that thing out, which put the country in kind of a weird position. Well, then he got murdered, and I think it was all part of the plan. He got assassinated, and then these guys stood around looking at each other like, we're still under the Insurrection Act. He was going to unsign it, like he was going to sign something to make it stop. Well, they didn't, and they let it go for 10 years, and in that 10 years, they wrote up their own Constitution out of D.C., and then when they took down the Insurrection Act, they kind of put that there. So this thing usurped
They copied, edited, and pasted.
It usurped our Constitution. So and if you read the Organic Act, the governing Constitution for D.C. and how it extends itself outward, like, I'm not even supposed to really be explaining this too much. It has it in there.
Oh, God.
You can't teach people. They don't want you to teach the masses, because then they'd know, like, So even when we all talk about my First Amendment, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, and we all play along. Everyone, even people of authority, will talk about it. The people up on TV will, your First Amendment. It's like no longer valid. It's been usurped by this DC one, the Organic Act, which is all of our USC code come out of. It's all illegal. It was, so point of that, folks, is...
We're going to have to do a show on just the Insurrection Act.
You read about... like these great things what the tariffs are doing. Trump's all about them. For the first time in over 100 years, our Treasury Department, it's almost like the petty cash fund was, you open it was like, no, nothing in there. And all of a sudden we're getting money in there for the first time. I mean, eventually we can borrow money from that, Scott.
Tariffs are working.
We can go to our own Treasury and say, give us $1 million we need to take, or $1 billion. And we take it and we use it for something instead of going to the Fed, getting $1 billion. That's a loan.
Which is coming from one family.
Which has that debt based on it.
Yeah. The Federal Reserve is not a federal institution. It's a private bank owned by one
international bankers made up of the one family and then these investors.
Somebody up there said something about buy gold. Here's I'm going to kick you right in the shins on this one. I used to think that, and then a wise man told me, why buy gold? Because if things really do hit the fan, what are you going to do with gold? Gold doesn't really do you a whole lot. What I'm going to do is invest in lead. If I ever need gold, there's enough evil people on this planet, I don't think the good Lord would be mad at me if I and took their gold with my lead. But with lead, I can
exchange the gold for lead.
You can't. You can chuck your gold at me from 20 feet away and hope you hit me in the head and knock me out. But see, my lead protects my family and provides food. Right?
Yes.
Don't you sound? And I'm not trying to insult anybody, but don't go back to the myth of buy gold, because now you sound like every banker and lawyer and mutual fund guy trying to call you and sell you on a product. Jesus didn't need gold, right? He learned how to fish. Therefore, you know how to eat. Gold doesn't do it. Gold is just it's a tool, and it's a useless tool if all hell breaks loose. It's worthless as soon as somebody on the stock exchange says it's worthless. You know, gold is just a piece of metal. It's an object. It's a noun. It's not. It's priceless because for thousands of years people have been idolizing gold, and man put a value to it. You know what I put a value to? My survival instincts and my ability to, my skills, my skill set to stay alive, to plant a crop and to eat it. That's my commodity to live. You don't ever buy into this, oh, I need gold. Okay, cool, so a nuclear holocaust happens and you got 1,000 pounds of gold in your basement. How good you doing?
Yes. You got it.
Anyway, I'm not trying to beat up on whoever that was. I really changed my mind because somebody opened my brain, and it makes total sense. Don't put a value to something because man has said it's valuable. Your relationship with God and your ability to survive and your ability to be loyal and a good person, human being, those are commodities that are going to keep you alive. Not gold, not a Lexus, not a 4-story home on a lake somewhere, not a yacht. None of that crap matters if you're talking about the end of days. Your faith and your family and your friends and your loyalty and your ability to survive trump all possessions.
Amen on that. We'll leave it right there. That was Scott from right here at the Patriot Hour. We love when he's in the studio and can join us on a Friday like this. This is an awesome show. We went over, I think, what are we at? About an hour and a half. It was a great show. We'll do it again. Hour 43. So be about an hour 45-minute show here. We're going to wrap it up. Scott had the final words there. I don't have much to top it. I would just say enjoy your weekend. You guys had mentioned it. Where you been for a few days? Just doing research, taking it easy. I go hard, and then I'll take a day or two off, folks. The Patriot Hour is getting heavily messed with, but guess what? We're back. We just did this show. I'm doing the Trump tonight. It's always a great time with all you Patriots listening to Trump and chatting along and stuff with you guys. So we'll be here for that. Check it out if you want to join the Patriots for the Trump rally tonight. Other than that, Scott, awesome. Thank you for being here. We'll see you again whenever you can make it. You just let me know, like always. And
Roger that.
Probably be a little bit more through the winter than what we've seen because this is his schedule. So that's what we do.
Protect those rights.
God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour Update video. Have a great Friday afternoon.